reactions of the cast in regards to Erik and Virginia's one or two woes that they had on the day. Layla, since you've been away, since you've been gone, yeah.
You know, Virginia, she came to the reunion on message, right? Everything that we saw, we didn't see. Everything we heard, we didn't hear. Like, her and Erik came trying to write a whole new story for their relationship, maybe thinking that if we believed it, that it would come true. Kind of like, you know, we can clap if we believe and bring their infatuation back to life like Tinkerbell. But it's not going to work because the point is, Virginia came into the marriage still behaving like a 26-year-old college sophomore, right? That is the point. It's not about when you said what you said. It's about kind of the whole tone and attitude about how you view your social life and how it can integrate into your marriage. So it's like, I think a lot of times because they've seen, you know, panels like this one, because they've seen reviews from other people and they've read articles and they've seen social media, they're trying to argue like specific points and they're trying to correct very specific things. Your general attitude, it was like, even if Virginia didn't say out loud something, like we saw the alcohol sweats. It was hilarious. Like watching. Actually, you guys know I like Virginia. I don't think that she was necessarily ready to be married, especially not to a man like Erik with all his things. But like, we won't even get into it because it's not the point. But it's the whole thing is like, when they did the flashback of Virginia walking down the aisle and she was so wasted and her hair was like matted and her makeup was like kind of sweating out into her face. I was like, and they were like, you just thought she was so gorgeous walking down the aisle. I was like, man, he really did. And she looked insane to me, but it's something about them, but it's like that was her vibe. She was the one throwing up at the bachelorette party. She was the one getting wasted before she walked down the aisle. She was the one acting indignant that he wanted to know that she had arrived safely at her destination and like wanting to, you know, do shots until she wanted to create a safety around, I might get so drunk that I pass out on my friend's couch. I don't think that should ever be something that is decided in the moment. Like, you should never be like, if you have not said, I'm out for the weekend with my girls or we're on a trip or something like that, why are you deciding at 1:01 in the morning, hey, I'm not going to make it home? It's her mindset. That's what we've been talking about. Your mindset is not ready for marriage. Your mindset is still partying. And you have every right to do that as a 26-year-old young woman who's single and is on top of her life. Do what you feel like doing. Just don't drag him into it, because that conversation at the bar when they were both at least drunk. They were both at least drunk, because the words that he was saying didn't sound like they were both. It sounded like this is a lifestyle. I can't be doing these things. It sounded like there were a little bit more chemicals in that concoction than just, you know, alcohol, but live your life. You know what I mean? And she was like, but this is my lifestyle and this is what I do. She's been consistent and she's been advocating for her right to party. She's been fighting for it. So yeah, I feel like almost she kind of like embarrassed herself by trying to even say that when she started talking.
I'm hearing you. Yeah, I'm hearing you. Oni, you've been quiet, bro.
Like, I miss Drunk Virginia. Like, Drunk Virginia was easy to understand. You could trust what you have to say. This whole reunion, Virginia, I just saw someone's mouth move. I didn't hear anything coming out. So I'm just saying, like, I just kind of just let this one go. Like, honestly, I feel bad for her. I feel troubled. This is not a great relationship for her. Her words are now being muted. She's becoming Erik Jr. Everything she says, this isn't the Virginia that we all know and love. Can we just give her a bottle of tequila and leech her out? Please and thank you.
Thank you, Onu, for that addition. Candice, what are you saying?
I think a lot of people, but especially Virginia and Erik, came on this reunion on damage control. They knew what we were thinking, and they were like, let me go ahead and set the record straight, make sure that they understand we're not bad people. You know, Virginia's like, I wasn't going to sleep on the couch when I was married. Yes, you were, Virginia. And Erik was like, you know, I know it appeared that I was being controlling, but I really wasn't being controlling. I was trying to do whatever he was trying to explain away. Look, I need these people to have take some responsibility for their actions. That's all I wanted to see for this reunion, is for Erik to come on and say, you know what? I realized that on this show, I did appear to be controlling, and I was in some instances, and I learned that that's not helpful. So moving forward in this marriage, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make a different decision, and hopefully our marriage can continue to grow. Virginia, you know what? After seeing that show, I realized it was stupid what I said. Like, no, I don't need to be sleeping on my friends' couches when I'm drunk. I got it. That won't happen moving forward. I learned my lesson. Can we just do that, people? Like, we grown. Like, stop trying to make excuses for what you said. Just own it. You made a mistake. Moving forward, you're going to do something different, and we can live our life. But because you guys are lying, now here we are on this show telling you guys all about yourselves. So somebody's got to do it. So we take up the mantle, okay? Somebody's got to do it. So yeah, that's all I wanted, was for some responsibility to be taken when it comes to Erik and Virginia, and I did not see that. So good luck to them.
Mr. Jacob, what are you saying?
For me, I think Erik and Virginia were definitely doing damage control, but it was even more so than that. I do think that they're at a place where they know they're not going to make it, but they're just holding on to try to put up a front. And so it's showing off on TV with the way that they were acting, because it literally was like, Virginia, like, we were watching the same show. Like, she was watching a whole different show. Because for her to say that the sleeping on the couch thing was not part of the marriage, girl, we didn't know you until you got married. You didn't know this man until you got married. Like, what part were you thinking that you weren't sleeping on your couch? This whole show started when you got married. What are you talking about? Your friends came over to your marriage home, or not your marriage home, but like whatever it is that you guys called it, the apartment you guys were sharing. That's when your friends came over. Your guy friend talked to Erik about trusting you when you were married. Like, what do you mean? We watched the same show and you were married at that point. So for her to say that, I think it was damage control. And maybe Erik felt like she embarrassed him, and she was trying to kind of clean it up a little bit. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, because it was just so delusional. Like, it wasn't even like, I'm gonna lie a little bit. Like, it was just like, I'm gonna make a whole new show up. A whole new show. It was delusional. Another thing I want to say also is that when Erik was talking with the guys and Kevin was asking questions, he didn't mention, Kevin asked, actually, you know what? I don't remember the exact question, but in the phrase of the question, Kevin said, your wife. And when he was answering it, he said, Virginia. He didn't say my wife. It was the question about Chris. How did you feel when Chris was assaulting your wife? Or how did you feel in that moment? Something to do with Chris. And he said, oh, well, I didn't think it was right for Chris to be talking to Virginia. Everyone was addressing their spouse as my wife. He didn't. He did not address her as my wife. He said Virginia. I wish you had the tape so you can play it. But yeah. So that to me showed that there was a lack of connection. I think last week we also dissected that even his body language was showing that he wasn't really, he wasn't involved. He had removed himself already. He had disconnected himself from the marriage. And for me, him not saying my wife, yeah, that hit it on the nail for me. Yeah.
Okay. Fair point. I didn't catch that, but fair point. Light wants to add. Yeah, go for it. Light, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of piggyback on what Candace was saying. Candice, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but when it comes to everybody coming on the reunion with their scripted responses, I think that what happened in particular with Erik is that this whole season there have been commentary such as this panel that goes so much deeper, as you guys were talking about earlier, that really speaks to some parts of these people that they knew were there and maybe didn't quite acknowledge or recognize. And they're really sort of on the defense because they know a lot of it is true. I mean, I haven't been on a panel like this or witnessed a panel like this in the past seasons. I hadn't really looked at commentary, but I don't think that they got that type of feedback, this type of feedback that was like, this is a deeper issue. This is something they need to work on. I think they probably got like troll kind of comments or, comedic kind of comments. I think the problem with all of them is that they recognize that the commentary that is out there right now is truly speaking to parts of who they are that they don't like. And that's why they're coming on with sort of that scripted defense to say, no, that's not actually what it is, because they know that it's true, especially because they've seen it themselves. And they do need to get deeper. I think with Virginia and Erik, she was trying so much to help him not look like the controlling person he is, because we talked about that so much. People objected to the word abuser, but she doesn't want him to look like an abuser because he's actually feeling that deeply, like, wow, I didn't realize I was doing that and it was worse. And for her, for Virginia, she said that herself to him, that she felt that he was being controlling. And she's having to admit the fact that she's in a situation with a person that is very controlling. So I think that that's where all of the scripted behavior, all the scripted response is coming from, is that actual thinking commentary has cut deep with them.